Okay, we're going to do a quick lesson just to go through the notes on order of operations. This is all review because the rules that apply to order of operations also apply to integers. So it's just a matter of knowing some specific facts about how they apply and differences maybe in the way things are written down. Okay, so here we go. So order of operations. I'm going to hide this. Okay. So recall the order of operations with whole numbers. Remember, we use BEDMAS as a way of knowing which operation to do next. So remember, we always will do the operations inside of brackets first, then the exponents, and then we do multiplication and division in the order that they appear. So that's from left to right. And then we do addition and subtraction in the order that they appear. So the same order of operations applies to all integers, to all numbers, but it's just good to review these things. So since we round curved brackets, since we use curved brackets to show an integer, for example, -2, we would use square brackets like this to show group terms. So for example, if we wanted to show something inside of a bracket that we were going to do first, we would use these square brackets to show that these numbers are in brackets. Because when with integers, like in this integer here and this integer here, these things are in circle brackets or curved brackets. So because there was no operation here, there's nothing happening except for the number. So you need to add these large brackets to this problem, and that would be the first thing you do. Now, when an expression is written as a fraction, the fraction bar indicates division. The fraction bar also acts like a grouping symbol. That is, the operations in the numerator and the denominator must be done first before dividing the numerator by the denominator. It's then as if the numerator is in brackets and the denominator is in brackets. So if you have a number, hold on a second. Okay, so in on this whiteboard here that I'm looking at, you can see that I've got a fraction 3 plus 4 over 1. Now the fraction bar, which is here, it also acts as like a grouping symbol. So you can imagine that the numbers that are on one side of a fraction, so the numerator, and the numbers on the other side of the fraction, the denominator, must be solved first before you divide. So you have to add these two numbers together. And you can imagine that there's like an imaginary bracket around these numbers. Okay, so we'll take a look at these examples now, and I'll do them on my whiteboard. Okay, so we're going to do letter A first. So we've got 3 times 10 divided by 2 plus -4. So we can see that we've got brackets in this problem. 10 divided by 2 are in brackets. So before we solve anything, we can't move on with anything here until we solve the brackets first. Then we've got, so I've divided it there, 10 divided by 2, and I've got 5. So I've rewritten it as 3 times 5 plus -4. Now I'm going to do the next step. The next step is multiplication. I cannot do the addition until I first do the multiplication. Okay, now I've got 15 plus -4. And as we talked about before, if you have a plus and a minus sign like this, then you can pretty much turn that into one big negative sign. And so it's 15 minus 4. And 15 minus 4 is 9. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. Okay, so it's 10 minus 2 divided by, or 2 times -3 over 2 times 4. So remember what we said. We have to treat what's on the denominator and the numerator as if they're in brackets. So I'll put that in brackets. I'll put that in brackets. imaginary brackets, pink brackets. So before we start dividing what's on the top by what's on the bottom, we have to solve what's on the top and solve what's on the bottom, and then we can simplify or we can divide that fraction. So let's do the next step. Okay, so I've simplified, I've solved the multiplication first. Now I'm going to do the subtraction. 10 minus 6 is 16, because when you subtract a negative, you become more positive. And 16 over 8 is equivalent to 2. Okay, let's do the last example. So again, it's really important that you follow these steps, that you go through and you do things systematically, and that you follow these rules that apply to integers especially. Let's look at the last example. Okay, so we've got a negative 6 times negative 6 divided by negative 4. So in this situation, we're going to move from the left to the right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply negative 6 by negative 6. And you know that when you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. So negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, positive 36. Now we're going to divide positive 36 by negative 4. When you divide positive 36 by negative 4, you're going to get a negative number. When you divide a positive by a negative, you get a negative. So positive 36 divided by negative 4 is equal to negative 9. So you must know your multiplication facts, and you must know your integer multiplication and division facts. Let me show you the answer written down. Okay, so you can see the steps here. We started out with negative 6 negative 6 times negative 6 divided by negative 4. We then got positive 36 because we multiplied two negatives. So positive 36 divided by negative 4 is negative 9. Okay, moving on. We're not going to do that. So it's really important that you follow these rules, that you follow these steps. So when you're doing integer problems, and I know that you guys have done some already, it's really important that you follow the steps that we apply to all numbers when we solve any math problem with order of operations using BEDMAS. And it's important that you also memorize and follow the rules for integer multiplication and division. You will need to know these things. Only thing left to do is, at this point, is to review this short unit and to write a test. All right.